Excuse me? Are you drinking coffee past 3 p.m.?
Oh, yeah. I didn't even notice because I don't care what time of day I drink coffee. I'm kind of a crazy wild card like that. You'll never know where to find me or what I'm up to. But one thing about me is that I don't follow the recommended practice of when to stop drinking caffeine. I'll drink caffeine whenever I damn please.
Hey, fun fans, it's We Enjoy. We've got news and news, a day late, but not a dollar short. We're in the Attitude Eric. I am Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric, D23 Goldman.
Hello, I was chuckling because I forgot to hit record at first, and Matt said, I'm not just going to speak, because, it's 2026. What's the point in speaking if we're not being recorded, Matt?
Yeah.
Why would we ever speak?
I've got a brand. My brand is speaking. It's also breathing. I guess it's just being human. We are doing this on a Saturday instead of our usual Friday because we wanted to hold out for big announcements from D23 last night that happened, and that's what we're going to talk about. So we were right to wait, and now you benefit from our procrastination. It's not really it was strategy. It was procrastination strategy. Eric, what do you want to start with? You want to just start with the X-Men since we've been talking about the ones who were previously cast already?
I do, but first, a little more opening spiel to say, yes, this is a purposeful lateness. And I like that it's kind of the opposite of Comic-Con, which is, just timing was timing. I was at Comic-Con and I had no downtime to podcast. Right after Comic-Con, Matt was traveling. That's just how the cookie crumbled. So we didn't really get to do Comic-Con reaction except for a couple things we mentioned like 2 weeks later. So I like that in this case, we were able to just wait 24 hours and we could get a bunch of news and talk about it right after. Also, your connection isn't awesome, Matt, but it did a cool, like when you said procrastination, you went procrastination. In a cool robot voice.
No, that was me. I told you. My voice, I don't just speak because when I do speak, it's really cool. And it sounds futuristic.
Nice.
And that is absolutely on my end, probably. Am I freezing? Am I glitching? What am I doing?
No, you're just having there's little max headroom moment so far. So knock on wood, it's not worse than that.
It's giving paranoia. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. But let's talk X-Men.
Okay, so so again, much like the initial rumors turn out to be trumors, which is that like Samara Weaving is Emma Frost, this dude named Kit Connor is Cyclops. It was long, I mean, since Obsession came out, I guess. So it's not that long, but like that Indy Navarrete was in the running for Rogue, and now she is
Navarrete. We're gonna get you
she's
there,
a new
Matt.
Rogue.
Matt, we're going to get you
What
there.
do I say?
Indy Navarrete, but it's Indy Navarrete.
Well, how much time do I have to get there? Give me a couple years.
All right.
Give me until the X-Men movie comes out in 5/8/28, which is the date that was revealed. Also at D23, May 5th, 2028. It was also rumored that Christopher Abbott was going to be Professor X. He was one of the people they were talking about, and he is. Christopher Abbott, who we just did in the Wolfman movie that came out, the Wingard movie. Not the Wingard. What is it? All these people.
Lee Whannell.
Not the Wingards and the Whannells out there making their pulp horror. Anyway, and then actually there was an actress who was rumored to be Storm, and that didn't turn out to be the case because they cast Maya Boyd, mostly known for Broadway. So not the actress from Sinners, who was also one of the rumored Storms. But you never know where the rumors come from because so many of them are just like fan casting that like crack their way through into and just are fake rumors because people look like the comic book character. But yeah. So.
Yeah, but I do want to. I think there's different buckets here because Samara Weaving and Kit Connor, they were big trade stories that we knew were going to be real. Even if Marvel hadn't said it yet, it was like, when Deadline, Variety, THR, they're all saying this is happening. That means that they've got the inside scoop. And you just know the sources that are like, this is for real, versus two things that happen in the internet age that are tricky, which is real scoopers who are getting real intel on people that are in heavy talks, and then people who are just pulling things out of their ass, and it's very hard to know these days what is what.
I mean, I would believe that Jamie Lawson from Sinners, that's the actress who was in the running for Storm. It could be a fan casting, but it also just could have been she was in the running and didn't make it because Maya Boyd got it, right? So
right. Because I'd say the two, because Adam Driver as Mr. Sinister and Christopher Abbott as Professor X were two people that we were hearing were in contention, like being talked to, possibly, circling for these roles. But I think the two big, legit surprises were, I'd say Indy Navarrete was the big surprise because the only thing that really came from was that recent interview where she said, I love X-Men, I'd love to be an X-Men, I'd love to play Mystique, and I've met with Jake Schreier. Which a lot of us took to mean she's not in this movie. Maybe she'll be later, but if she's talking this openly about having a meeting with Jake Schreier and her dream casting role, this is not a movie she's probably in. So then it was like, she's in it, but she's playing Rogue was a funny little swerve, especially because Callie Spaney was by many accounts very
heavily rumored,
very close to signing on to this movie. And it was funny because two of the earliest people we were hearing were her, the Beefsters, her and Charles Melton as Beast. And there were reports earlier this week that Charles Melton was kind of backing away after almost signing, and maybe he wanted more money. No one was announced as Beast yet, so that still is very possible.
And I'm assuming, but I'm probably wrongfully assuming, that everyone knows that this is not the full cast. I'm sure there are people out there being like, "That's it for the X movie? What a small team!" Whatever. That's not true. There's so many more that are going to be announced. I'm sure Maya Boyd is great, but what I want to say is that if Jamie Lawson was in the running, I feel bad if she didn't get it and wanted the role, because she literally started a movie with, off the top of my head, 3 MCUers who could have pushed for her.
Or maybe she was never in the running and she feels great.
Maybe she's just like, I hate the MCU and all it stands for, and it sickened me to star with 3 stars of the MCU in this movie.
But I know I'm very excited by Maya Boyd because I know nothing about her except that she is an accomplished musical theater performer. And last time an unknown musical theater performer started as an X-Men, it was a guy named Hugh Jackman. Worked out pretty well for them, Matt. So let's see what happens.
Hugh Jackman also, he got a little bit of stuff last night too, because he had a whole Ryan Reynolds video where it was now it's like, well, now Deadpool has to be in Doomsday, right? They can't just do all this teasing,
Deadpool and Wolverine
including the video last night.
Both in Doomsday. I'm saying this just... Look, I would have assumed this from the minute this movie was announced, especially, we talked about this. They're not bringing back Patrick Stewart and James Marsden and those guys and not having Hugh Jackman play Wolverine alongside them. That would be crazy. And also, Deadpool is just too huge not to have in this movie. So it always felt like a given they'd be in this movie. Again, one of the things we never talked about because we didn't do a Comic-Con centric episode is Ryan Reynolds making that appearance at Comic-Con at the Doomsday at the Marvel Studios presentation in the Deadpool costume that didn't really make it clear if he was in Doomsday or not. But why would they have him do this bit? And then last night,
that plus this equals he's in Doomsday, because the stunt he did at Comic-Con could have just been like a Hall H stunt. It could have been like, even though it signals him being in the movie, it also could have been something funny that Marvel and him put together.
But it probably meant he was in Doomsday. And last night, because it was Hugh Jackman sending a video where he was asking to be in Doomsday. It would be very weird at this point if these two men are not in Doomsday.
And Christopher Abbott starring the Wolfman with another MCUer. Man, you swing a dead cat, he hit an MCUer around here.
But more importantly, if you were a guy on Girls, you're gonna get in the MCU. Not if you were a girl on Girls. then you don't get to be
a guy on Girls. I'm like, what are you talking about? Okay, the show Girls, everyone, is what Eric is talking about.
2 actors from that show were just cast in X-Men. Christopher Abbott and Adam Driver. They join Ebon Moss-Bachrach as one of the cast members from Girls, who's already in the MCU. So it's very funny that it's like the dudes from Girls seem to be high on Kevin Feige and Sarah Finn's list of people to get into this franchise. And yes, I like Chris Abbott a lot. And obviously they're skewing. Look, I mean, James McAvoy was a young Professor X because that was the whole deal with that movie. But Chris Abbott's 40. Most of these X-Men are in their early 20s. So obviously the whole thing is, and we figured like they're bringing back the literally old X-Men and Doomsday and probably Secret Wars, but now they're going to introduce a much younger team than we've ever had for like the core team overall. One who can do 10 to 15 years of movies going forward.
Well, I mean, like the young team that they tried to get going was pretty young. The one with Sophie Turner and Ready
Great,
Player One.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
They were young.
They were absolutely young too. I kind of forgot about them, which kind of says
no. I'm saying like they didn't work out. So
they didn't work out.
Hope springs eternal.
I think this will work out better.
Okay, let's talk about the biggest star of this. Indy Navarrette's of the moment right now, but the
Navarrete.
Navarrette.
God damn it.
I have time to sort this out. I told you I have until the movie. Adam via Satellite Driver appeared for a little funny skit where he did a bait and switch poll where he first announced he was Magneto, but then switched it to one of the aliases of Mr. Sinister. So they are going Mr. Sinister. Doesn't mean Magneto's not in the movie, but it seems like that they're going more sinister. What I want to ask you, Eric, is how you do Magneto now, which is to say, like, his Holocaust backstory is so integral, and it's what we all are ingrained with and grew up with, from the comics. Didn't make it to the animated series because it was in a kids' animated series, but it certainly made it to the X-Men franchise movies.
Yes.
So how do you do that now and not have him be 90 years old? So like, what inciting incident? What would it come from? Like, it is such a great backstory for him that like gives him so many layers, and a lot of Magneto was right graffiti. How would you even do that now?
It is interesting. There's been a lot of talk about this, and do you translate it to something else? But does anything quite have the impact for what Magneto's deal is? I mean, there are other genocides, unfortunately, but on the scale of the Holocaust, there was something that like just worked so powerfully for Magneto. So we'll see. I'm curious because otherwise it's always tricky because the strength of Magneto, what grounded that 2000 X-Men movie from the very start was that opening scene. And like, a scene that we talked about could be very jarring if you go into that movie expecting, I guess this is some superhero shit. And then it's like the Holocaust and a family being separated and screaming and all that. But it was such a great way to ground it. The problem is if you try to do that and then say, and then a magic spell made him younger, like right after,
or like his mutant ability also slows his aging or whatever, because then that's just not him, and that's Wolverine. And and the funny thing is, like, in the past we've had to do this with people who have war veteran origin stories, like Punisher. Well, it's like, well, you just shift the war, right? What is Vietnam? Now it's something in the Gulf, usually something in Afghanistan. Like, you just shift that up. The Holocaust in World War II is very, very specific and very important to like who he is as a Homo superior now. So, So I don't know if they're sidestepping Magneto altogether. I'm not against it. We've got a lot of Magneto, and we've never gotten a Sinister. So let's got
a Sinister. Got a lot of Sinister teasing that led nowhere because then Fox got sold to Disney and they didn't get to do a payoff in any of the things they were setting up. I think it's actually will be smart if they, for a while, table Magneto. They'll absolutely bring in a new Magneto, but I don't need him in this movie. And also, of course, there's the Wolverine of it all, which is the fact that we all assume they want Hugh Jackman to keep playing Wolverine at least for a while. And also the fact that I bet they really want to prove that they can do X-Men without him. Again, one day Matt will watch X-Men 97, but one thing a lot of people noted about the first season, Matt, was that Wolverine's in the show, but he's very much just part of the group. They did not spotlight that character in the first season.
But is he Australian?
He's not Australian because it's a continuation of the 90s show. But they kind of prove their point that it's like, the X-Men are more than Wolverine. Those movies made him so much the center, the good and the bad. But I think here that both because they want Hugh Jackman to continue and because they want to kind of be like, let's establish our new X-Men without like Wolverine kind of taking attention, even if it's a new Wolverine. They'll hold off on him, and I think that'd be great. If they want to tease him at the end of the movie, fine. But I think it'd be great to give one movie at least that is just like, here's the X-Men.
You said for a while a few times just now, and whenever I hear that phrase, I just think of Grosse Point Blank. I don't know if you know that movie well.
I don't know that movie well enough to know what you're referencing, even though I really like that movie.
Which is Kudlitz's poem that he's reading, and he's like, just skip to the end, and he goes, for a while. For a while. Says it twice. Anyway, Eric, any more X-Men things before we get into Doomsday?
I'll say that Chris Rabbit's casting does make me sad because now I'm doubting that we'll have him return as the Foreigner in Secret Wars, reprising his beloved role from Kraven.
From Kraven,
yes.
Sure. Yeah.
But yes, he is a 2-time Marvel actor now. And Indy Navarrete is just like, look, she is so hot right now, Navarrete. And it would make sense. Absolutely. Like it wasn't shocking that she would reveal she'd met with Jake Schreier because she's someone who like in this moment is having meetings. Like that is what her life has been this summer, I'm sure, is having meetings. And she wanted to play Mystique. She talked about this. Like she loved the X-Men movies. She wanted to play Mystique. But Rogue, look, I think that she could be great. Callie Spaney was a more obvious choice because Callie Spaney's a Southern girl. And, there was, and people were already like, oh, that'd be perfect. But I think Indy Navarrete could, can very well be great as well. I'm excited for it. And also I am curious to see, like we talked about, there's still going to be more casting, at least Beast. I think he's been talked about too much. The Melton thing, I think, is true, whether he signs on or someone else does it. And we'll see from there. Anyway, I'm excited by this.
Good. I also want to know, I want to take a step back and say, hey, we're going to be going through all this news. Eric, do you think any of this news that was announced is bad news? Like anything from the Disney panel last night, like just anything. I'm just saying, we're called We Enjoy, and we're here to tell you the news. And we're also going to really be excited and enjoy most of it. So I'm saying like a lot of recaps of the D23 news are probably going to have a lot of complaining, but not here, not on We Enjoy.
Look, I mean, there's the general thing. Pixar has that thing where it's like, oh, they're so sequel heavy right now, which is mixed with the fact that most of their originals haven't done well.
But or also, whose fault is that?
Exactly.
We all have to share the blame here. Like it's 50-50 as far as people not going to see new shit and the studios being too cowardly to try new shit. So it's like we got to join hands here and
Hoppers was great, got great reviews, did okay, but guess what it did versus Toy Story 5?
A fraction of the amount, exactly. So
right.
Okay, we'll do Doomsday and then we'll do all the Marvel stuff. We'll get into Vision Quest after. So Doomsday released its third now teaser / trailer, and it's the best one yet. Which I would
third. What do you are you considering the 4 that came out with Avatar the first? Those little mini ones.
I guess so.
Okay,
I suppose so.
I guess I'll go with that.
I don't know. I'm just naming numbers here. My point is that I feel like. And here's like I am not trying to be the downer in this or complain because we enjoy.
Feel free. No.
But
you're allowed to complain.
We're not because we enjoy. So what I'll say is that like the stuff we've seen so far, I think the consensus, and I agree with it, is that it's been fine. Like nothing's what I'm trying to think of an idiom, and all I can think of is rocked our socks, and I don't think that's an idiom. Nothing's blown us away. I'll just stick with the tried and true. Nothing's blown us away as far as like the magnitude and the spectacle of what this movie is supposed to be. I think it's because, I think this is where a little bit of the fatigue kicks in, which is like we've seen so many. We went through it with the initial Infinity Saga of like everyone coming together to fight someone big, and then we got like a bunch of stuff where it's like by the time the Flash came out, people didn't care about crossovers or fan service, or like everyone started getting sick of all this stuff. But then Deadpool and Wolverine sort of pulled that from the ashes a little bit, though there were some complaints about the fan servicey Fox stuff. But I think we're just a little numb to it. You know what I mean? It takes a little extra to get us more excited about something like this. And then you've got the normal like battle cry of like, there was no build up to Doom, whatever. Anyway, after watching this new one where you've got Sue Storm voiceover, but also talking to the group where she's explaining to everyone who doesn't know who this guy is, who he is. And it's very Doom centric and it works a lot better than the previous stuff that we've seen. We hear Doom speak more. We hear him talk about what he's after, though it's still not quite clear. It's multiversal in a way because he's talking about stolen lives or living other lives. And it ends with a cool like reveal of him like with like sentinels buried in the ground. It has a destroyed New York, destroyed Manhattan anyway. Eric, do you think that because Feige has said that Doomsday and Secret Wars connect, but not in the way people will expect, because people are expecting an Infinity War / Endgame thing. I think that I feel like the Doom movie is a little more encapsulated than people think it is. What do you think?
What you mean? It's like a little more self-contained?
Yeah, a little more Age of Ultron, which is to say, like maybe Doom. Obviously, Doom is a huge part of the Secret War stories in the comics, but maybe it's a little different. Secret Wars. I don't know how it can play out the way it does in the comics. Are we getting the Beyonder? Are we getting all this stuff?
See,
But it's basically like obviously Thanos wins at the end of Infinity War, and then he goes into Endgame as like still a threat and the repercussions of what happened. But if Feige is saying that the connection is not the same for these two movies, I just don't think that this is I don't think that this is a Doom two-parter the way we think it is. I think Doomsday is a little more self-contained.
I think it is still a two-parter. I just think it won't be the same level of both cliffhanger / holy shit of like killing not just half the universe, but like so many of our like beloved Marvel characters on screen that movie ended with, that they won't try to repeat anything like that. Look, this is total speculation. I go out of my way to try to avoid spoilers, guys. But like, see, I don't know, Matt, if you read the other Secret Wars from like 10, 15 years ago that I think.
No, so I only know that. So, okay. So Doom already looks like he has godlike powers in this movie, right? Which is something in the 80s, 84 Secret Wars, 84, came because he stole the powers from the Beyonder, right? I don't know what the later 21st century Secret Wars look like. So I know he was a huge factor in it, just like the first time, but I don't know how it played out.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it vague, and also I also literally do not know how much they'd pull for it. But because the more recent one was much more a multiverse story, and did involve all these different universes and sort of colliding together, and also involve sort of a remix where, because Doom was at the center of this story, and that weird stuff had happened where it's like all these new worlds have been created that were like, this is the world where Crystar is, and this is like their worlds like based on old characters and their realms and about their adventures, and it was all this sort of crossover stuff. So I wonder if the end of Doomsday is something like that, which is, it's not about destruction or elimination like Infinity War was. It's about creation, but creation in a chaotic way, which also can lead to more cameos, because if Secret Wars is anything like that last one, it's like, this is the last time, I think, because I think that they know the multiverse thing kind of exhausted people and it was a lot of haphazardness, but I think this is like, this is the last time they might do a bunch of that stuff of pulling from the past. I really do, as much as we joke about, they've said goodbye to the Fox X-Men like 5 times. I do think they'll stick to it this time, but I think that there might be something like that. Like the cliffhanger or ending of Doomsday will be something like that, about what has been created now by whatever Doom's doing.
I guess the only thing I'll end with, and I guess, what are we here to do if not to belabor the point? But what I'll say is, originally it was Kang, right? This movie was a Kang movie, and that was going to lead into Secret Wars,
which we always assumed was going to have Doom in it. I always say a lot
right. So that's the point, is like, do we think that Doom was it? I guess it's like, why not just do Doom to start with? Why even have Kang? I guess because of the multiversal aspects of it, but like, obviously I feel like whatever this movie was originally as Kang was more of a probably encapsulated Kang movie. Do you think that, at least as far as like leading into Doom and Secret Wars?
Yes, because I think that I think Doom was going to be the surprise big bad behind the big bad. I think like the Kang Dynasty would have been about like the battle against Kang that would have led into whatever Doom's doing.
Which is really funny, because then imagine the people then complaining. Let's pretend Kang worked out.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with Jonathan Majors. Character was well received. Let's say Quantumania was a better movie than it was. You know what I mean? And like, and then we go into Kang Dynasty. Then Doom, people would be like, we had no build up to Doom at all. So little build up to Doom. You know what I mean? Like, then it would just be surprise Doom, right? Like, right. I don't know. I just feel like originally the idea, the mindset of the structure of these two stories was more separate than I think that they are. Doom obviously is now a more cohesive through line.
Yes, I agree with that, because it sounded like they were going to have 2 different directors. Don't forget, because Cretton was only signed for Kang Dynasty. So did
they have anyone signed for Secret Wars?
They never officially announced people. There was all these rumors. There was a Raimi rumor. There was a bunch of different rumors. So I do think it was a more of baton pass. Always a big connection, but I do think they probably were even more, two big stories that handed off to each other in a
All
different
right,
way.
let's talk about Vision Quest, which now feels like a very huge end of a streaming era for Disney, as it is being fully marketed as the end of a trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
It began with WandaVision, the first show. Would this be the last show? I doubt it, but it is. It does feel like a super bookend to all the stuff we've had for the past 5 years. Like all the shows, especially with Wonder Man getting unrenewed. But yes, so Vision Quest. I don't know what it's. Do you know like what source material it pulls from, or is it original, or how it works? But
A lot of people think, at least partially, that there was a Vision series a few years ago. What was it? King who wrote it? That was like Vision in Suburbia, with like a robot wife that WandaVision was partially inspired by. So it was like it already was somewhat like the idea of like Vision in Suburbia, but it seems like this comic book, 2015, I am remembering correctly, Tom King, who wrote Supergirl, Women of Tomorrow, and is one of the guys behind Lanterns, was the writer of this series. So I think it's like a lot of MCU stuff in that is a influence, but it's also doing its own thing completely because it's based on so much MCU that's come before it.
so it looks like there's a lot of WandaVision present here, as far as like Ship of Theseus Vision, the White Vision, who survived WandaVision and is now off with only his memories of. Basically, he was like the first Vision, born yesterday. He's got a lot of stolen valor because he's like, I wasn't that guy who was the hero. I'm just this copy of a copy. And he seems to live in the world in human form and then go into a freezer to sleep at night, where has a mind palace, right? Where he's sort of goes inside himself to self-analyze who he is. And in there are all the other AIs, which include the actual Jarvis, played by James Darcy, reprising his role from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Endgame. Sorry, Agent Carter, not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then we've also got Friday and Doom and Edith and a bunch of AI.
You mean Dummy?
Yeah. So Dummy and then you.
Dr. Doom is not in this show, as far as we know.
No, Doom. Dume.
Dummy.
Dume.
Tony was always like, "Hey, Dummy."
Yeah, and then Hey You, because both of them. There are two of them. So Dummy and You are in there. I'm just gonna say Doom and Navarette for the rest of this podcast.
Jesus Christ!
Hold on to your potatoes. Okay. Do you think is his robot wife Jocasta? I know this character's in the show. Played by Flanagan or Tiana Miller. Tania Miller.
Possibly. But I don't know if they're going to do that exactly, because as we see, he's like, he's watching WandaVision, like, and he's reminiscing on like Wanda in this show. So I'm not sure if he's like given himself a new wife in this reality. I do like, these three shows. On one hand, it's it feels like a very loose trilogy, but there's the big through line is the Maximoff, the kids, and we'll talk about that here.
Kids. So they had Billy the last time and Tommy this time.
Right.
Because at first I was like, I hope they didn't recast Billy, and it was like, no, it's Speed. It's the other.
The other brother, and then also, but all three shows being about reality bending. Agatha, not quite as much, but it was still there. Like
only kind of in the beginning, the first episode when she was trapped in the like Mayor of Easton procedural.
But I would know. But even when they went through the road, there would be like the place that like looked very 80s and stuff. Like there was still like some pulling, I think, of stuff, but not as much for sure. But this one kind of really goes back to that because he's got, like you said, this sort of mind palace.
Did they travel down a road on WandaVision?
No, I mean Agatha.
On Agatha, they traveled down a road.
Oh, see, your joke would have worked right if you said the right title.
I know, I messed it up. That's fine. What would this road have been called? I think I missed the road part.
You did miss the road part. If only they had a catchy tune.
And if only they had a song talk about going down the road.
Yes. But no, I like that this is kind of continuing this trippiness. And it's one of those things where, yes, it saves a lot of money to not have to have a digital Ultron all the time. But it actually seems to work thematically of like Vision wants this fake world. And I still think it's
jarring. I know James Spader. I know he's older. And I know what he looks like. I watched Blacklist, even though that was like 15 years ago. But like, it's still jarring that that's his physical presence. And that beard had to have been Spader's choice, right? Like, I don't know.
I don't know because
Harry.
To me, because no, I mean, I don't know if it was only because to me it's doing such it is amusing. The beard is obviously meant to evoke like the maw of Ultron, and maybe that was a Spader suggestion, but it's like because it's like the big silver beard.
I'm just saying that took a long time to grow, and and it could have been he had it when he was coming back, and he's like, "Hey, I ain't shaving this," or he's had enough time to let it grow out. Anyway, for those younger people like my daughter who actually really loved Age of Ultron, it was like her kind of Avengers movie. A little too young for the first one. It hit the sweet spot with Ultron in the second one, and she really liked. She'd never heard James Spader's voice before, and it's very unique, and it like really captivated her. Right? I still think it's going to be jarring when she sees that, like, this is what he looks like. I don't think she ever Googles what he looks like, because she hasn't seen him in live action in anything, even though it's all out there for everyone to see. Even though the internet loves to just clip scenes from Boston Legal and say, "Look what this lawyer did for his client. He's amazing," and just show you a whole episode arc of him like fighting for the rights of a little girl. It's weird.
And act like it really happened by the way it's presented.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Right? They're acting like it's like this is a real lawyer, and people will comment like, "I wish he was my lawyer." Like it's weird.
Yes.
I don't think they showed anything of Paladin, right? Todd Stashwick.
There's a quick shot of him, but he's very shadowy, okay. and he's got it looks total out of the comic. He's got the purple cowl. It looks very.
I mean, everything I saw looked good. I hope it's good. And that's how we usually couch everything. Looks good, hope it's good. Yeah, so
looks good, hope it's good. And now that it does feel, it's funny. We said this about Wonder Woman, and then they tricked us, and then they untricked us because we said Wonder Man feels like the end of an era, and then they said no, it's renewed, and then they said no, it's not. But Vision Quest again feeling like the end of an era because especially another report this week that it's like the obvious, which is they're scaling back on their shows. Daredevil Born Again not affected by this, but that they'll be way less, way more spread out. But I think Vision Quest, if this is sort of the temporary ending, Born Again aside, feels appropriate, not just as a literal sequel to WandaVision, which began it all on the Disney Plus era, but also because it goes back to, look, we've talked about these shows, these swings, these we need content shows gave us characters that might never get shows. And some of them turned out better than others. And, Agatha was great, and she would never have gotten a show except that exact moment she got one. But Vision is a character from the movies. He's one of the Avengers. So it's kind of ending on a bigger thing again because it's like, hey, this is one of the people you've actually seen fight Thanos. It didn't go so well for him, but it feels like bigger than some of these, quirky little characters that they were doing for a long time.
It's worth noting too, as we wrap up Vision Quest here, that Edith is now played by 12 Monkeys alum and Schitt's Creek alum Emily Hampshire. Instead, so the live action Edith and Friday are different than the voices. I should just say, which is Carrie Condon was Friday, who was in F1. She's in things I've seen anyway, and now it is Orla Brady, who I probably know from something. And she was from Picard, so she's worked with Terry before, but
I'm assuming they wanted everyone if they could have gotten them, but because they don't have notably absent, I would say, is Jennifer Connelly as Karen, despite being married to the lead actor of this show.
Who is she on Fringe for every season? It has her listed on Fringe for like the full run of the show, and I don't remember.
Who are you talking about?
Orla Brady.
Oh, I don't know.
Man, I guess I only think of 4 people when I think of Fringe. Okay, 5.
Oh, she was Walter's mother and Peter's mother, Walter's wife. So she must have appeared in flashbacks and seen.
Okay, just through the show or whatever.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
All right, we have a lot to run through here now. We did the Deadpool Wolverine teaser. We got news on AHSOKA season 2, which is coming in January.
I thought that trailer was good. As someone who thought the first season was, okay. I think first of all, the lightsaber fights look a lot more like.
I did not watch the trailer for that.
Oh, okay.
No, there was one. Okay.
Oh, look good.
And then there was Ryan Gosling, not Reynolds, came out to talk about Starfighter. Along with Sean Levy, and they had a little clip, and I watched someone's shitty phone footage of it, and it looked fine. Like he's just like, yep, that's a Star Wars. So But again, we have higher hopes for this movie ultimately than we ever did for the Mando movie. So
I will say, yeah, it didn't like blow me away. Again, I'm watching someone's cam footage because this is one of a couple things that were not released, a big glossy version of. But I will say, visually, it looked one of the most cinematic things Sean Levy has done. We talked when Ghost Rider, about how Ghost Rider we weren't hyped on him directing because he is a good, competent director, but visually he's not very dynamic. Some of the shots in Starfighter looked a lot more, visually impressive than like even Deadpool and Wolverine as far as like scale. So we'll see what that means for.
I mean, I'm excited. I like Ron, and I like Star Wars.
Okay,
so there you go.
There you go.
That's my verdict. Hey, Zootopia 3 was also announced, but along with that comes Incredibles 3, Frozen 3, which we knew about.
We knew about Incredibles 3 as well. Yeah.
Coco 2.
Knew about that.
Coco joining as a character, the new Kingdom Hearts game. A Kingdom Hearts series, animated series being announced for Disney Plus.
That was interesting. And so an anime series, I've never played Kingdom Hearts. I've always wanted to because I like when I watch clips and see footage of, they go to Tron World. But that game series has been around for a long time.
It's huge. And my son never got into it. The Disney game he loves, I think it might be his favorite game of all time, is Epic Mickey, which he will play and finish annually. Lilo and Stitch 2, info on that. And then we had live action Tangled, and the first reveal of someone Indy Navarrete as Rapunzel.
You goddamn bastard!
As Rapunzel. There's a movie called Gato coming out from the creator of Luca for Pixar, and then also Pixar's Ghost Market, which they showed a scene from.
That was an announce. Yeah, the Ghost Market.
The Ghost Market. Any other Simpsons 2 footage you also put here? Simpsons.
Oh, movie? Yeah. I guess you didn't watch the cam footage of that. Very funny. It was animatics, so unfinished, but just a very funny, like 5-minute sequence. That was it was a very funny example of like a joke going on longer than it should and making it funnier by it keeps going and escalating. And it was very well received. And it's called The New Simpsons Movie. We got a title reveal for
the Love it. And then one of the most interesting and kind of exciting projects out of all of these, as far as I'm concerned, especially in this household right now, because my son's favorite character is Oswald, and that Jon Favreau is doing a 2D hand-drawn animated Oswald film. So, what? What's
Jon Favreau's doing a 3-episode, a live action with 2D animation mixed in Oswald series.
Oh, it's a series. Okay. Yeah. I mean, but aren't streaming series just like movies?
Possibly.
Isn't it just like a 3-episode movie? Anyway.
I think we talked about Ash and I's mutual love of Oswald. I have so many Oswald pins. I'm kind of a Oswald pin collector.
And he had his Oswald hat and shirt on when we went to Disneyland last time, and Oswald happened to be at his little spot in California Adventure.
Fantastic! That's because he's only there. He's only there intermittently, so that is excellent. I'm looking at an Oswald Funko I have up here. So people saw them filming this show at Disneyland last year, and it looks really cool because 2D animation. They brought back people who used to work at Disney because they haven't done 2D in so long to work on it. They showed. How do we do this? They showed a couple images. They're going to go to a lot of iconic locations, Disneyland, obviously, first and foremost, but they also filmed in Walt's office on the lot, and they released some pictures of Oswald in the office. He's black and white too, in a live action modern color world. Anyway, it looked really cool, and I'm hopeful and excited for that.
I'll say this, that I lost my train of thought.
I was going to say, he hasn't frozen, guys.
No, I haven't frozen. I mean, I froze, but actually in real life.
Right.
Say what you were saying. What were you saying? This is what I want to talk about, because I know why I lost my train of thought, because you made me think of something, which made me think of something else, which is that, bringing back the veterans who actually know how to do hand-drawn 2D animation is funny, because, it's sort of like finding somebody who could use a Steam Deck to edit movies, like old technology or old ways of doing things. And then that made me think about the news that broke. It's not on the docket, is why, about them pulling the behind the scenes of the Supergirl, making of Supergirl, because there was AI concept art seen in the background, just like they fucking ruined the Stranger Things finale behind the scenes thing. You know, like where they saw them have Chat GBT open on their fucking computer or something like that.
Right.
But there were AI designs, concept designs for Lobo, and so people saw it, spotted it, clocked it, complained. They pulled it off YouTube, like because that I don't know. It feels like such a massive uphill climb now for DCU, and you have on here what you do have on the docket is that Waller and the Paradise Lost series are no longer in active development for the DCU streaming world. So they've got red in their ledger right now. So
they do, although they also have rave reviews for Lanterns, which I have not seen.
Good. But again, like a streaming series success feels very like I don't know. It feels like they don't count these days because we never know the metrics. We don't know like the dollars behind it. Box office, everyone understands.
By the way,
I'm happy it's great because I love the look of it, and I wanted good things for what's the actor who was also being considered for Bond, or at least in fan things from after.
I think about
after Rebel Ridge. What's his name?
Aaron Pierre.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I want good things for him. I want him. Yeah. I want when people do something acclaimed on a small scale, who then leap into something massive in special effects heavy superhero world scale, to be in a good project and not have waste their like card. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you did something good. You've got like meetings all summer, like Navarrete. So I hope the X-Men movie's good because
I have so many things to say off of what you're saying. First, I'm 90% sure. I think you accidentally said ChatGPT for the Game of Thrones finale, and you mentioned
not Game of Thrones, Stranger Things.
Yes.
I may have said Game of Thrones.
Also, yes, we can, just mention briefly the thing, the Paradise Lost and Waller not in active development. At first they said they're totally dead. Then there's some reports where they might not be HBO Max, but they might reshop them. So it won't be like in our own home, but it can go elsewhere, which has happened. But also, with the streaming series versus movies of it all, and the fact that it's really bizarre that nothing is announced after the next Superman movie, but also the fact that a lot of people think that's also tied to the Paramount Warner Brothers of it all, that they basically have been told, you can't order more giant projects while we're in this weird purgatory. And so that might be why nothing.
They're like, we're on the precipice of getting Dark Universe here. We can't we can't lay out a roadmap for the next 5 years. You know what I mean? Like,
yes. And also then Navarrete, just the fact that inevitably her casting in X-Men, leads to some people being like, instantly lost her to comic book slop that'll take her life over for the next 10 years. And people pointing out, no matter what you think of super movies, and you can fucking hate them if you want, you can never go to see them, actors can do other movies in between. They really can. And yes, I understand Elizabeth Olsen and people say, hey, I had to turn down some stuff I wanted to do because of the MCU. That's valid as well. But they also do have time when they can. And I think people pointed out Florence Pugh and Sebastian Stan as people who have done like Oscar-nominated performances in between doing MCU stuff. So it doesn't mean you have to stop acting.
She's also she's in an X-Men movie as part of an ensemble, right? Which is to say, like, the movie's not called Rogue. No, she'll have some downtime.
Yes.
I mean, she can't shoot a movie while she's shooting a movie. But what I'm saying is, like, it may not be as demanding as we think. Disney Plus is no longer making Power Rangers. To which I say, okay. Power Rangers was never my circle. So
someone who has a lot of affection for the original iteration, I'll just say that's a franchise also in a weird limbo state. And the original Japanese series that they would pull from each year to use the footage from has stopped finally after decades. Hasbro owns the license, completely owns Power Rangers now. This was going to be their first big project, like pairing with Disney for a Disney Plus series.
You know what would be fun? Okay, keep going, and then I have a fun idea.
Well, there's a couple funny things about this. There was some talk about Disney had some concerns about the budget of this show. Again, Hasbro talking about them backing away from like the MCU stuff on Disney Plus, and it being such a big, turn from a few years ago when they were like, the future is our streaming and only our streaming, and that's what all our biggest projects will be for. But there was some other funny reports that one reason that this show might not be happening, I don't know if it's true because it's not even the same studio, is that apparently the Matt Damon, Sandra Oh movie, that it's the Daniels next movie, and has a huge like Power Rangers influence. Like there's like some sort of like, kaiju people fighting thing that there's some influence and they thought it felt like weird to do like Power Rangers at the same time. I don't know if that's true or not, but I do see that many people have said that there is a Power Rangers influence on this project. Anyway, if you are a Power Rangers fan, it's one of those things where you're kind of just waiting to see what will finally happen with this property because it's just kind of right now having some trouble getting off the ground again.
What they should do with it if they do, if anyone ever commits to a new series, is because the ultimate old footage is gone, or the show they were pulling footage from is gone, is that they need to film a bunch of new footage but make it feel like it's from the Japanese show and then pull from that. Like basically pre-make these things. Like it would obviously it's not the same, but it would be like a fun nod. It's kind of like how Portishead on their second album recorded a bunch of music of their own composition and then sampled that when they made their songs for the album. Because the first album is all sample heavy of actual other things, but then they got sick of people stealing their samples, so they basically made and copyrighted their own samples. That's what they should do for the Power Rangers thing. They should go full Portishead second album. Okay. And then we have finally, not in the realm of superheroes at all, unless you count Dream Warriors, there are now dueling Elm Street projects. Eric, you've wanted Elm Street for so long. Are you now torn that there are like too much Elm Streets and there's not enough real estate for both Elm Streets?
We are way late reacting to this because not only would we have already been late last week, but I forgot to put it on the docket last week. So I know we're super late talking about this, but it's too relevant to our interests. I was mad at myself for leaving it off last time. It is funny after all this time of like trying to get a new Elm Street movie happening that now there is this battle brewing.
It's the race to fucking Freddy. And it's not dealing. By the way, Oak Street is not a rival of Elm Street, so you don't have to worry about it. It's not a three-way race. Yeah, don't worry.
But it does involve one of the same studios. So we did talk about like this new Elm Street movie that Paramount was making. And, they'd made a deal with the Craven estate because Wes Craven, the rights to the original movie script had gone back to the Craven estate. And so we're still a little ambiguous on exactly what this new Paramount movie would be. But that's all we knew was happening at first. But then came this second story about the fact that Warner Brothers is also trying, basically now in a race because of this, because Warner Brothers, the rights to Freddy, because these fucking horror characters, they're always so convoluted, are still very convoluted because only the first movie's script went back to the Craven estate. Not only so Warner Brothers still owns the original movies and apparently also can like still make sort of their own installments in some way, shape, or form. And so there's these reports that there's now this kind of little race and that they were talking to Lee Cronin, Warner Brothers. No idea if that'll actually happen. But so that's actually might be further along than the Paramount one, which we never heard anyone kind of attached to yet. So it's a very strange situation. Would there ever be a world where both could be made? And I think we did talk about the weirdness of Paramount has the rights to make this movie, but they have, and I think they have domestic distribution, but not international.
But not international. That's the thing. So neither project will have the real estate for the world market, right? Like, so neither project has the full worldwide marketplace on its own.
Right, and then it gets into the goddamn Warner Brothers Paramount of it all, because there was a lot of people thinking, and this is not supposed to happen. I think this is illegal, but does that matter in 2026? That Paramount was banking on the deal going through, so that then it would be okay for like worldwide distribution, because Paramount would own Warner Brothers, who have the international distribution, and then they could do this movie, even though that's not how it's supposed to work. When a company's trying to acquire another company, you're not supposed to plan what your things are going to be with it all. But that doesn't stop people. So anyway, bizarre situation. But I will say, on the Warner Brothers side, it was interesting to note, because they're talking about how the heads of Warner Brothers are trying to make this happen. One of the heads of Warner Brothers is, of course, Michael DeLuca, who huge history with Freddy. He was working at New Line as like a young intern or mailroom guy when Part 4 was being made. He wrote Freddy's Dead. He wrote episodes of Freddy's Nightmares. He was like the one exec at New Line at the time who really fought for Freddy versus Jason to happen for years and years. So there is a personal investment on the Warner Brothers side from DeLuca, I think, to not lose Freddy, because he's so tied to New Line's history. And I have a feeling that might be really fueling him here, but who the fuck knows what's going to happen with these two projects.
So then who's going to fumble Freddy is what you're asking.
And why will it just result in another 10 years without Freddy?
Probably, yeah. It's like, you know what? No one gets Freddy. That's how it works.
Right.
But we've got the new Jason, and that's happening no matter what. You can't stop it now.
Can't stop it.
It's forever. We have some write-ins here, and then if you have a recommendation, we'll get to that. I'm gonna save the ones that are more active, like us participating ones, like with questions and stuff for the last. I got a couple of write-ins about FX. So Jeffrey wrote in, I loved both FX films as a kid. My family owned the VHS tapes, and they were watched by me a lot. Whenever I use Crazy Glue, I always say 1,001 uses, now 1,002. And don't even get me started on the Real Steel Robot Clown from Part 2. I don't even remember that, Jeffrey.
Well, clown is all.
I swear I saw Part 2 once.
But the clown,
it's in the trailer.
It's
right?
all over the trailer. It was like they really went big on the clown in the trailer.
I don't know what he does in the movie though. Just trailer stuff for the clown. Brando from Indiana writes in, my local video rental store didn't have FX, but they had a few copies of Part 2. And boy, did I watch the shit out of that. There's a part where Raleigh has to fight a guy in a grocery store only using items from the shelf. And I'll never forget the exploding baked beans. Love the podcast, Brando. I do remember a supermarket sequence. I don't remember what tricks he used. So baked beans is now a revelation to me. Jog no memories, but it is like, yeah, I could see him using baked beans for something. I assume baked beans, exploding baked beans. How do you think he'd make them explode?
I don't know. He took
with
out
stuff from a supermarket shelf.
Took out some little hand torch or something.
Yeah. Oh, maybe he used like hairspray. We'll see. Anyway, so some love for the FX franchise. And I feel like someone else wrote in, but I think it's on Discord. But I'll look that up while I'm reading someone else's. We have one final 1986 movie left, and that is Labyrinth, which is coming this Monday. And then we will start a new series. So you want to tell them what it is, Eric?
Oh, we're already going to talk about it?
We can tell them we can tell it now, and we can tell them on the Labyrinth episode to double down and cover
Let's
our
do
bases.
the Labyrinth episode, and then we'll obviously tell you on the next news episode as well.
So close to the best here. Dexter writes in, wanting us to watch Industry.
A lot of people have told me it's a good show.
I think he brought it up specifically also because of the David Johnson Black Panther news. And so he's like, David Johnson was great in it for the first two seasons. Kit Harington has a big role in seasons 3 and 4. I think Kit Harington was in all of it. Was he not?
I had no idea either of those guys were in any seasons.
I know Kit Harington was in it for sure. Okay.
But I will say that David Johnson, that makes me want to check it out. So there you go.
But he's only in the first 2 seasons. They must kill him Industry style.
All right. But if I'm into the show, then I will keep going for more Industry.
Nicholas writes in, I was wondering, greetings bodacious ones. So he's got a little Surfer SoCal for you, Eric. I was wondering if you guys had selected a run of films for your spooky season yet. I recently started reading more to help strengthen my focus and alleviate my ADHD symptoms, so I started reading the Thomas Harris Hannibal-verse novels because I figured they would hold my attention. I also saw this year as the 40th anniversary of Michael Mann's Manhunter, which is true. This is Matt speaking. They have a lot of like showings of it. They're re-releasing it for its 40th with a new cut, right? Or some new Michael Mann.
Oh, there's some little tweaks to it. Yes.
Yeah. It got me thinking maybe you guys would consider revisiting other Lecter properties besides Lambs, because we did that one, including some episodes of the TV series. Are you guys still holding out hope we will get more of the Fuller series? Be excellent to each other, Nicholas. We do have our spooky season run picked, and it is not Hannibal, sadly. I'll say this though, Nicholas. I like the Hannibal movie, the Ridley Scott one. It's one of my background movies. I always put it on. It's weird. I know it was a big actually box office hit, but
it was.
It's not well regarded usually nowadays. But I thought it was good. Anyway, he also ends it with, are we holding out hope to get more of the Fuller series? I'm not. I can't hold that anymore. I can't carry that. So like if it happens, wonderful, but I am not putting any thought into it anymore.
No. It honestly, as we were talking about Freddy and Jason, the biggest reason being that the rights are too convoluted. It's funny, another show that I absolutely love that I would have loved to have come back, but had no shot was Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles for the same reason, which is the rights are move around too much, and too many different people are like, this is what I'm going to do with the franchise next to get that cult version back. And so Hannibal, like, I don't think it's impossible because there's such a passionate fan base. It just came on Netflix, and it's going to get a new round of people watching it, which is great. I just think that there are a lot of obstacles to get it back at all, and to do a version of Silence of the Lambs or use those characters as he wanted to, which was impossible at the time. And I don't know if anything's changed. Now I think it's just more complicated because it's like right now, like the rights are just, again, like, different people will have control. So.
Nicholas adds, P.S. What was your favorite silly wrestling gimmick? Mine was Disco Inferno. I hear he is a bouncer at a strip club in Vegas nowadays. Disco Inferno, there's funny because I still read the wrestling, the sheet sites just to get wrestling news. I kind of read them more than I actually watch wrestling these days. And because we are so addicted to rage bait and to hearing things that anger us, these sites always have to post the shitty things Disco Inferno tweets out or says or vlogs. I don't know how he gets his information out. And the shitty things Val Venus says. These are all like assholes, MAGA bitch ass people who like, why do we, because they're always like, WWE legend says this, and it's always fucking Val Venus. Forever it was Ryback. Forever everyone posted everything Ryback said like we gave a shit. And it's because people, that's why they did it. Disco Inferno is another asshole that people post his opinions when they shouldn't. Anyway, to answer your question, Nicholas, my favorite gimmicks, I can't think of one off the top of my head, except to say like Mr. Perfect, because he was my favorite wrestler, and that is a gimmick, which is that I'm perfect at everything and I can play every sport and do everything well. Is anyone who had a profession that was not wrestling, or anyone who had a passion or something that they cared about more than winning a match. So whether it was a repo man or a garbage man or a tax man or something someone who just loved to dance and all they cared about was that, and they cared about it more than winning a match, than the actual wrestling that was going on. That was always my favorite because it was always insane to me. It's like, this isn't even my day job. I'm a sanitation worker.
Right. And yet I still feel I should solve my conflicts in this wrestling. Yes.
I didn't win. You know why they never cared if they won or not? Because they had a full-time fucking job. Right. They're like, well, this is clearly just my hobby. It doesn't matter.
They're not. That's not my 401k.
Eric, do you have a favorite gimmick, Eric?
I'll just take it on a goofy side because in no way is this like my favorite wrestler, nor do I even remember anything.
No, he's a gimmick. Favorite gimmick. Yeah.
So I'll just say one that always amuses me is the Repo Man. Just because Repo Man is a cool name, which is why it's a cool movie title with a cool punk soundtrack. And it just sounds cool, the Repo Man. But as a wrestling character, he was a guy in a trench coat and a Hamburglar mask. And
he just stole other wrestlers' shit.
And so he would just take people's shit.
He wasn't repossessing it because they defaulted on a loan or something. He just stole shit. It was just a thief.
Yes, but there was something very funny.
And he was also from Demolition. My favorite thing is a lot of those characters were just repurposed other wrestlers. So like the way that I think his name was Charles White, I think, who went from like Papa Shango to Kama Mustafa to the Godfather. Basically, he went from like Voodoo Monster to Pimp.
Right.
Just like you just wearing different hats and clothing and makeup.
But because a Repo Man is typically thought of for cars, he also had a license plate on the back of his jacket, and he had
and he came with a tow hook. That was his illegal foreign object,
and tires for elbow padding. So amazing, Repo Man.
Well, at what point is that not like a weird one-off Spider-Man villain? Like
he should have been in the opening montage. Yeah. Then I fought Repo Man.
Jerry writes in, and Jerry, thank you for resending this. I think he sent this a few weeks back, and I forgot to put it in because it was quite of a lot. Jerry writes in, and his subject line is like mid 2026 thoughts, and he writes, "Hey Matt and Eric, hope you guys are enjoying your summer so far." So there you go. It was obviously from earlier. A couple of musings after listening to recent episodes. Matt, I was planning on checking out the new Harry Potter series, but now I can't unsee Debbie Downer as the new Harry after you mentioned it. Rachel Dratch is such an underrated SNL alum. I've seen her on a handful of John Oliver segments, but other than that, do you guys have any recommendations for her performances post SNL? Eric Goldman, Dratch head number one. What would you say? What would you recommend as Rachel Dratch content for Jerry? Wow, stunned silence. Did I freeze? I can't hear you. Did you mute yourself?
All right.
There you asshole. You asshole.
We're keeping that in.
Okay, so I'll just say before, I don't know what you were saying because you obviously didn't care enough to unmute. But what I'll say is she's done a lot of voice work. And so maybe she's never been the lead of anything. So we're all talking about supplemental material here. But her Nora Freeze on the Harley Quinn animated series was very funny.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
that's what I'll say.
Yeah, obviously, I know her from SNL first and foremost, which she is great on, and then 30 Rock, which is a weird, sort of semi-uncomfortable story because she was
supposed to be like a lead on that show.
She was supposed to play the Jane Krakowski role, and the network replaced her, which had to be super awkward since Tina Fey and her were like good friends, going pre-SNL, I believe. But she would still pop up and do funny roles on that. And by the way, Tony nominee this year for the Rocky Horror Show on Broadway, where she's the narrator.
Okay.
Yes. So anyway, so I just named things I either like her in or am aware of her in. I love Rocky Horror. I would love to see that production on Broadway. But yeah, I'll just go with SNL because she's always funny.
All right, that's Stretch Chat. Okay. Eric, a little trivia regarding the lead actor who plays the mutant hero in The Furious. He was quite popular in the mid-90s in Hong Kong cinema for playing Jet Li's ass-kicking son in a couple of martial arts movies.
Yes, I've seen pictures of him as a little boy, and it's adorable.
Then, finally, Jerry writes, a movie recommendation after listening to your Insidious run. Eric, I've never heard of this. Ring Zero, Birthday.
Whoa.
This is the 2000 Japanese prequel to The Ring that delves into the origin of Sadako. I don't remember The Ring enough to remember any characters' names or what the story was that was.
Sadako is Samara. It's their version of the girl.
Okay, so yeah. Ring Girl. I don't even remember Samara as her name. Anyway.
What? Come on.
No, you think I'm a ringhead the way you're a dratch head, and it's not accurate. Be warned that the movie was not well received, but for some reason it really struck an emotional chord with me all the time. To me, it gave the Ring story a tragic twist I didn't expect. I will take your word for it, Jerry. I don't remember the Ring story enough to imagine at all a tragic twist.
I'd be into this because, I do like the Ring movies.
I like the insane title. It's very Godzilla -1. It's just like Ring Zero, birthday.
Well, it's pretty literal. It's a prequel. Yeah. It's set earlier, and it's about the birth. So there you go.
All right, one final one. Dave on Discord, going back to FX, wrote, I love that you guys mentioned the Canadian TV show. My uncle worked on it, and I got to visit the set and meet the cast.
Oh,
I was therefore obsessed with it for those 2 years as a kid. I still remember watching live when they killed off Leo.
Spoilers for FX's series. No!
It's such a dramatic moment in my kid TV brain. Yeah. Well, it's not spoilers for the. I mean, when we talked about the show, you mentioned that they kill off Leo. So yeah.
Yes.
We already spoiled it.
No, I think that's amazing. I love that story. I love that you were not only a fan, but got to be on the set. And CeeStudio
on the set, yeah,
huge moment. My God,
and he's like, not my Raleigh. He kept like side-eyeing all the Raleigh and Leo. He's like, I don't know who you guys are.
No, he's like, I need
pretenders. A lot of you.
I need to talk to whoever made this decision because they fucked up.
All right, Eric. Very quickly, do you have a recommendation?
I'll do one super quick one, which is I very much enjoyed End of Oak Street. I quick one and then a longer one. End of Oak Street. You can watch my full review on my YouTube. I had some quibbles with some of the storytelling at the beginning and end, but I think at its core, it delivers very strongly on its dinosaurs in suburbia concept, its Amblin throwback feel, and giving us something that we thought the Jurassic series was going to give us after Fallen Kingdom, and then seemed to keep pulling back from, which is just like dinosaurs amongst us in a bigger way.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun on that level. And then
I think I had more quibbles than you about that movie.
Okay. I had quibbles.
I had more. I probably had quabbles, to be fair. I had multiple quabbles with that movie.
Understand. And then I'll also recommend sort of tied to D23 of it all at the top. Next week on Disney Plus on August 20th is Disney World Builders, a new documentary from Leslie Iwerks. And if you are not familiar with her, she has done the stuff like the Imagineering story, and the Pixar story, and then she did Disneyland Handcrafted earlier this year, which was awesome documentary that kind of looked at the making of Disneyland using footage from that year when they were actually building it. She has a big family history of Disney because her like great grandfather was the co-creator of Oswald. I can't remember, Uberworks, I believe was his name. And Mickey.
Oh, Uber. My son would know. Yeah.
Yep. And so she makes, it's interesting because she's not strictly Disney. She's actually done a DC documentary too, but she does a lot of stuff for Disney. And I think that her stuff has like been, very good as far as like the Imagineer story is excellent. Now at the end of it, it has to end on such a positive note because it's going to air on Disney Plus, but they still kind of get into the nitty gritty of it all. I will say, Disney World Builders is a little bit more the most openly kind of like a commercial for the parks than
it's kind of like their like cruise ship stuff is a commercial for taking a cruise with them, like like
right. But because it's her, there actually is some deeper stuff along the way, and basically because they kind of go through the film to theme park road, which is what is it to see your own work brought to life in the theme parks. And they talk to James Cameron, Jon Favreau, Pete Docter, Jared Bush, Kevin Feige, and and Jennifer Lee, who I'm going to talk about in a moment, who's the creator of the Frozen movies, because they kind of show like, oh, I came up with this idea, that I had this little idea for Inside Out, and now it's like theme park stuff and how crazy that is. And there's some cool stuff with Feige looking at what the Avengers ride is going to be. You actually get a little bit visual preview. So if you're a theme park head like me and you're looking like, what's the future? There's some cool stuff there. But also I think that there are a couple of segments where she gets to really dig in deeper. And the Jennifer Lee one is probably the best one because she kind of talks about the emotional core, Frozen, her own sister's influence on the sister relationship in that movie. Getting to see Frozen has like a full land now at Disneyland Paris, and it legitimately feels very emotional. She talks about like, having ADHD and all this stuff. Anyway, I thought that segment was really great, and there's some other stuff I thought was really interesting. So while it's not one of the best Leslie Iwerks documentaries, it's still a lot of fun stuff if you enjoy this sort of digging in on the Disney theme park of it all and getting some glimpses of the future that are pretty exciting. So there you go. Disney World Builders is on August 20th. I wish it was longer, by the way. It's like just under an hour, and I actually think they could have dug in deeper with some more of the people if they'd let it go a little longer.
I have no recommendations. So there you go. None at all. Don't watch anything this week. How about that?
And
everything's bullshit.
I mean, I'm gonna watch Lanterns. I couldn't get a screener of it, but
I do want to see that new Matthew McConaughey movie. I want to see it.
All right, you should.
I want to see the new Matthew McConaughey movie. Have you heard about that?
I know
about the guy whose bees get stolen, or there's.
Oh, that's.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be good. But instead, I'm seeing Wet Hot American Summer tomorrow. So, which is good, but I'm not seeing a new movie. Okay. Until next time, everything is possible, but nothing is real. And Shakma.
Shakma. Shakma!